Erased Destiny 2, The Knower. Chapter 14, Sharing Time and Space. Marigold packed her things. She was moving again, and although she hoped to spend at least a few years in the herbalist's hut, she couldn't shake the feeling that wandering the world was her destiny. Wherever she went, circumstances soon forced her to move on. Etien left the bags with the vampires and flew to Topaz herself. Before the man started his litany of apologies again, she said,
"I've taken care of everything. Please show me the hut."
She ignored the next words of regret and helplessness, complaints about soulless bureaucracy, about officials expropriating people, depriving them of the fruits of their labor, because they hadn't filled in a form correctly. Her thoughts revolved around Noemi and the throne, not trivial matters like moving in. It was only after a while that Etien realized they had arrived. Nothing in the area indicated that anyone lived there or had ever lived there. There was no fence, nor road, only a meadow, of which there are many in the forest. Between the trees, there were several planks, and above them, branches bent low, like a vault.
Did your grandmother live in something like this?
It looks better up close. Time has not been kind to it, but I think it will be habitable after a little renovation. I'll help you rebuild it.
Thanks, but no need. I think it looks more interesting this way.
Left to her own devices, Etien approached the remains of a wooden hut. She looked through the crack between the planks and saw a house in quite good condition, small but built with finesse. What Marigold had seen before was a shed for gardening tools. Although the cottage had no windows and birds flew in through the holes in the roof, the walls were still standing. The girl pushed the door, but it didn't give way, so she cut a hole in it with a scythe. Several trees had grown inside. The mattress had gone moldy. Some beams had rotted and clothes hanging in the wardrobe had been eaten by moths. However, even with the omnipresent expansion of nature and the visible degradation, Marigold liked the cottage very much. She was charmed by the old furniture with its relief carvings, the worn-out chests, and the beautiful stone sink. Determined to live there, the girl summoned a demon and ordered him to start cleaning by emptying the house of all the items. The next step was to replace the wooden floor. She coated the roof with a magical substance to ensure that she wouldn't get wet due to rain. Startled by the commotion, the bluebird flew in panic from its nest on the shelf and crashed into the transparent coating. It fell to the ground, stunned but unharmed. Etien took the bird outside with its nest, which she placed on a branch of a nearby tree. Looking at the weedy garden and the overgrown herbaceous yard, she regretted not wielding the magic of earth. In no time at all, she would have dug up the whole area. Without it, she was left with using a shovel or inviting a May. However, the most important thing, apart from moving her clothes and personal belongings, was to protect the property from uninvited guests. In Sintra, she could not surround the tenement house with a wall or a barrier because she did not live there alone. It was different in the forest. The girl chose 5 sturdy trees growing near the house and carved a barrier symbol on each one. She also added a web of smaller symbols scratched on the stones. In case of an attack by an armed army, Etien placed offensive signs in each of the 4 corners of the house and 2 in front of the entrance. Satisfied with the result, and above all, with not forgetting the training she had received from the priestesses 50 years ago, Etien sat down on the grass. Twilight favored reflection, especially about life. The green and yellow rainbow illuminating the sky with a zigzagging sheet spoiled the melancholy mood. Etien had never seen anything like it.
Are you contemplating the weather anomaly?
Sort of. What do you think? Is it dangerous to my health?
It seems less dangerous than a squad of archers. But I know nothing about magic.
You reminded me that I haven't finished the security system. Sonja, could you run to the palace for some black crystals of elementless mages?
The vampire didn't move. She was also staring at the strange atmospheric phenomenon, ignoring the request. Etien narrowed her eyes. It might have seemed that the woman hadn't heard the question, but it was easy to see from her smile that she was consciously ignoring her former superior. Etien was both irritated and amused by this display of independence.
What kind of crystals?
Zuzu, please send me the black crystals of elementless mages. Thank you.
After a while, Etien held the necessary items in her hands. She approached Uzuma to show him them, and, at the same time, she touched the back of his hand with her palm. This time, it was Sonja who narrowed her eyes and then crawled out of the forest bushes. Something hit her in the stomach, something her eyes had not noticed.
Look how effective my barriers are. They work in an instant. They can also stop objects flying in my direction.
It's really impressive. Why didn't I get hit?
I assume it is because you wish me well.
Sonja approached the barrier. She could sense its scent, the delicate trembling of air molecules. The spell scratched at her throat. Closer she got, the more pressure she felt, until she was struck by lightning and had to get up again.
How about the dinner?
Great idea. Will you light the fire? I'll go get the sausages.
They both ignored the constant attempts to break through the barrier. Unable to get inside by running, Sonja tried to jump over the barrier, which resulted in a spectacular flight over the treetops, and also to dig under it, which in turn resulted in burns. Uzuma collected a few sticks and got the rest of the firewood from the damaged furniture. Meanwhile, Etien dug through the food supplies she had bought in Sintra.
We've got wine too. I think it's from Terdam.
No doubt about it. Could you let Sonia in?
This time, it was Etien who pretended not to hear the question. She entered the house, followed by Uzuma. Together, they pushed the old, bulky piece of furniture outside. Etien pulled it with ivy. Uzuma pushed with his shoulders, and as a result of their efforts, the wardrobe fell on its side and broke.
Maybe you should hire a renovation team.
Maybe it would be better that way. Let's eat something.
They sat down by the fire and enjoyed good wine while listening to the sizzling of sausages over the flames. Etien surrounded them with a silent zone to exclude Sonja from further discussion.
I sent Cyril to Terdam. Maybe he'll find out something?
What task is awaiting me?
So many that I don't know where to start. Maybe I shall write them down for you. It would make a small book, and each task will take at least a few days. You won't have enough time to complete them all. I need more people. I need Nathan and Fidelis.
It will be easier with the latter because I know where he is. In the Empire, with his wife and daughters. Unfortunately, he has been struck by dementia, a common ailment among those who changed their bodies. Fidelis is no longer the man you knew. He has forgotten our language, forgotten us, forgotten his past. A sad sight.
Etien sighed. How was she supposed to fulfill the goal imposed by Zuzu if she didn't have any resources?
I have to meet Gabriella and Velonard. I'll write to him. An ordinary letter, not on a silver sheet, and you will deliver it by hand to the addressee. In this state, I'd rather not show up at the Pale Castle, if you know what I mean. And your mother? Very busy? Or if I say I want to talk about your transformation, will she come flying on the wings of the wind?
You know her as well as I do. She is very busy because Naomi's health has deteriorated significantly. Neither Nadia nor Milren are able to help her. Gabriella doesn't have a clear idea either, but she is testing various concepts. But when she hears that someone can help me, she will definitely come to you. Should I invite her to your cabin? Or would you prefer to meet her somewhere else?
Etien was reminded of the experiments Gabriella had conducted on her. Most of them ended tragically, and some just badly. Naomi must have been very desperate if she asked Gabriella for help.
First Velonard, then Gabriella. It's for the best. Velonard can take Naomi with him, but no one else. I'll write a letter tomorrow, and then we'll go shopping in Eternal City. Until I find Nathan, you're my bodyguard. Do not forget about it. And will be our translator. Why can't I do languages?
Shall we take a look at the arena?
If you like, but with just the two of us, not much can be achieved.
Something hit the barrier and bounced off, like Sonja before. Something heavy, moving at high speed because the barrier creaked from the impact. Everyone looked at Sonja, sitting on the grass.
Will you let me in?
You found me quickly. Got bored at the palace, or are you looking for revenge?
Etien had briefly switched off the barrier, which Sonja also took advantage of. She instantly jumped onto Uzumayat's lap. When Breeze hovered over the lawn, Etien touched her hand. Then she switched the barrier back on, catapulting Sonja into the bushes.
Stop it.
I thought it was going to throw him out too.
Breeze flew over to the symbols carved around the house. She contemplated them for a moment, then returned to the campers.
Electrical spells work with extreme precision. I wish I had had the opportunity to explore them earlier.
You had, but you didn't want to. I am glad you started to respect my element.
Smiling, Etien reached for a sausage. So did Breeze, levitating crouched next to the others. In the flickering light, her face looked even older than in teardom. Despite her wrinkles and dry skin, the mistress of air retained her full mental faculties and magical power. And her hair, she left it bicolor.
Could you empty the hut of everything that isn't the walls and the roof?
Without turning around or looking over her shoulder, Breeze made a few finger circles. As a result, all the furniture was on the lawn intact. The floor was torn up and the entire interior of the house was vacuumed of cobwebs and rubbish.
And after the renovation. Thanks to Breeze.
I miss your tournaments and those fights in the arena, but I miss the most our elemental fights. I think I would have won against you now.
We are planning a little warm-up with Uzumayat, so I will gladly take you with us. We just need to find Nathan and we can easily finish off all enemy teams. Sonja promised to take care of the search.
Breeze and Uzumayat looked at Sonja at the same time, as if to ask, "Why is the vampire sitting on the grass then?" Sonja snorted indignantly. She didn't feel like doing anything while her partners spent time in the company of women. After Fidelis left, Breeze joined the team that ruled City of Ghosts, forcing Etien to change tactics and plan more carefully. However, in the end, Breeze proved to be an excellent replacement for Fidelis. Summoning the elements was exhausting for Etien, even when she lived in the palace and had almost unlimited power at her disposal. So Breeze had to wait for each of these pastimes. As if she didn't understand the situation, Breeze summoned a miniature fire and storm dragon, encouraging Etien to compete.
Do you know what that yellow-green rainbow is that appears in the sky at dusk?
I don't know. You can see it from the palace too. It doesn't give in to the spells of wind, so it's not a cloud. Maybe an illusion, impervious to light.
Sonja's irritated hissing interrupted the factual discussion. The vampire was increasingly displeased at being excluded from the discussion, especially since she could hardly make out any words from the lip movements alone. Brice hardly opened her mouth. Etien turned her back to Sonja whenever she spoke, and Uzumayat rarely spoke.
Aren't you going to involve Samya? Without her, we won't be able to track down Nomi.
The focus stone and the fuzzy stone, both in Aylin's possession. If we steal them, we won't need a tracker. And maybe we'll even find Nathan.
What are these stones?
They are inventions of Gabriel, Aylin's father. They focus the will of the caster and strengthen mind spells in a specific way. He told me about them once, and recently he reminded me. I saw him in the land of death. I bet Aylin doesn't use them and won't notice they are gone. Who should be assigned to this mission?
Brice and Uzumayat looked at each other. Neither of them had practiced stealing, and being caught by Aylin would end in a thorough interrogation for the unlucky one, which would also reveal who was behind the theft.
Give Samya a chance. We'll fail. That's for sure.
Did you forget that Nathan named me a seeker? If Sonja didn't spend most of her time showing that she doesn't have to listen to me, I would consider her candidacy. But I'll get the stones myself. The Lady of the Crystal Palace must replace all those that failed, all those that are missing or dead.
And then?
I'll try to track down Noemi, which will probably upset her and prompt her to take armed action against me. As a result, instead of chasing her through all the magical worlds, we'll have a battle here. Which, considering the low population density and lack of objects of strategic importance, is not a bad choice.
Etien did not mention that she would look for Nathan before setting off on her mental search for her daughter. If the direct search failed, she would use a fuzzy stone to inform as many people as possible about her goal. She sighed and covered her face with her long hair. Once again, she put her own desires and needs before the welfare of her subjects. She was once again chasing a man instead of focusing on her mission. She explained her weakness with Nathan's virtues. With him by her side, she felt safer and could entrust him with any mission. She was sure that Nathan, who was free of official duties and responsibilities as the leader of Seekers, would prove to be a faithful and loyal companion, even at night. Especially at night. She sighed, angry with herself and her desires.
But before that happens, I have other tasks for you. Brice will search the remains of the collapsed Teardum's mine. I am annoyed by knowing nothing about the object that Noemi is constructing.
It will take a few days.
Uzumayat will search the headquarters of Teardum's guards. I don't think Noemi left anything important behind, but maybe at least a clue to the location of other hideouts. In addition, obtain evidence of corruption among the Teardum's government, their ties to the rebellion of fire mages, and their funding of Noemi's activities. I sentence them all to death, provided it looks like an accident.
Uzumayat bowed in gratitude for the assignment of tasks in his taste and enabling the silent elimination of enemies. Brice seemed less pleased, so Etien created a smoky figure of the elemental spirit as a consolation, a creature that Brice had so wanted to face. Both of them followed the fight of the magical puppets with curiosity. The battle ended with the defeat of the dragon. Little Death cut off its wing and then tied its mouth with poisonous IV. Victorious Etien stayed in the clearing with the demon she had summoned earlier. Brice flew away on her own. The undead teleported, each of them rushing to their assigned tasks without a moment's rest. And Etien watched as her hairy creature dug through the weedy garden. She had last felt so alone in the swamp, where she had fled from the palace. She reminded Uzumayat that he had to meet her the next day to pick up the letter to Velonard.
Nathan, come back to me. Why can't you find me out of your own free will? You were so good at looking for missing people. Nathan, I miss you so much.